Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And since we talked about artists and emerging artists and artists in the Bronx and art in the Bronx and people getting opportunities in art in the Bronx in our last segment, let's now talk to Lola Lovenote, who's a muralist, which I didn't even know there was such a word, but it is a muralist. I just call them artists.
Yeah.
Um, nice to meet you, Lola, and thanks for
Hi.
joining us.
Nice to meet you, Gary. Thank you
Um,
for having me.
Oh, sure. Let's just talk about you as an artist, where you grew up and what made you an artist. How did you get there? From A to B. How did we do it?
Well, I am a Bronx born and raised artist. I still live in the Bronx. I'm still a resident here. I started as an artist, I guess, when I was a kid. I've just always been an artist. And as I got older, I realized my passion is painting public art. So that's how I became a muralist. Honestly, I started in street art. I would do a lot of murals just without really knowing that they were called murals until I went to college, and then I kind of started just meeting more people in that community, and I realized that yeah, this is a legitimate title and you can create art, and this is an actual artist job. It's a little bit more
A
specific than
profession. How
a
about that? It's a
profession.
profession.
Exactly, and you can make a career in it,
I, I'm
which is
I'm I'm
something.
I'm really sorry, but I'm delving into the next level. So you said I decided that I wanted to. I'm being like your therapist now. You said I decided I wanted to put it on a wall. I wanted to make public art. What is that? I'm always interested in an artist's muse. What is it about doing that that really makes it exciting as opposed to even doing the same thing or something similar on a piece of painting or a paper or canvas or something like that?
I think just like being able to have more than your own eyes and your friends and family seeing your art, you're putting it out into the public, so there's a larger audience for you, right? So that for me is what was exciting about that. Also,
Excuse me, a larger audience. There's actually a public audience, and believe
right.
me, somebody who sits in the studio and talks into a little camera thing, I know the limitations of that. Whereas if you do it, and then even if they don't know it's you, and they walk by, and then you see people go, "Oh, look at that," that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's
Yeah, that's
honestly,
beautiful. That's
I would
wonderful.
I don't think it even honestly, like growing up, a big part of it was like, yeah, you want that kind of recognition that this is your art on the wall, but just knowing, because I grew up in the Bronx. I didn't have a lot in the communities that I grew up in. There wasn't a
You
lot of
want to
art.
name what those communities are?
I grew well in the Bronx. I grew up around Fordham Road, University Avenue, Grand Concourse. I live in Parkchester now, so I lived around all of the Bronx, and just I didn't see a lot of art on the walls that catered to the just kind of like child youthful art, which is kind of the type of art that I make, and just art that I related to. So once I got older, I realized that I wanted to give back to the communities that I'm from, and let them see things that normally you wouldn't see walking down the street in those neighborhoods.
Aside from the one that we're going to really focus on that you have most recently completed, are there ones, let's be specific, in the Bronx that you've done that you say, you know what, I like that one. That one came out pretty good. Or anywhere. And I got a nice list of where you've been featured, which is impressive. But I got to
Okay.
start there in the BX.
Honestly, so the Gen Equality mural that I just finished, that is I think my largest project for the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
I haven't really painted anything of that nature that large.
Okay, so
Um
now you're going to do that because Gary asked you to do it. You got to, come
No,
on, come
I mean,
on.
I'm open to more opportunities. I think that so I painted in Brooklyn. I also kind of grew up in Brooklyn too.
All right,
I
wait,
live in Brooklyn.
hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Painted murals for the Bushwick Collective,
Yes.
Emmy nominated fashion related competition show
Yeah.
Project Runway, the Meadows Music and Arts Festival. Okay, so
Yes.
did I help you there? Are we doing okay there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I've painted on a larger and scale, and so but my biggest passion is painting for community, and so thankfully I was given those big jobs where I was able to create a portfolio for now. So now I'm applying to more community-based projects, you know, where those projects do want to see that you're from the community, that you care about the community, and that's something that is important to me. So now I'm like very like driven towards creating more in the Bronx for sure.
Okay, so let's not be self-conscious about creating the Bronx or not. I'm going back to my question, and my question was, tell me about some stuff that you did in the past that you say, you know what? And I'm not talking ones that
Oh,
got
okay.
awards or anything else that you say, this one I like.
So there was this project I did where I was commissioned to paint for, it was called Make Room, the doors of Make Room. So basically it was a Washington DC initiative based on the affordable rent crisis in America. So they flew me out over there and we created these doors where the doors represented the housing crisis. So we had to paint these doors reflecting on what that means for a United States resident and the rent affordability situation. And so my door was definitely talking about gentrification in New York City, gentrification in the Bronx, especially, and our urban communities, and how that is affecting the environment and affecting the people in those communities.
Uh,
For me, that was like an eye opener of what I can do with my art politically, socially, talking about things that are important for the people in my community. So that I just the whole project as a whole was something that I love to do.
and to make a change. And I have to say, without trying unintentionally, both segments, the cultural assets map that the Bronx Council of the Arts talked about in our first segment, they're going to work with Lehman College to figure out if art is here, what social factors are happening. Is this a neighborhood that's ripe for gentrification? Is this a neighborhood that has extreme poverty, or any of the other
And that's just
issues?
really, it's really important to talk about that, because even as a muralist, like one of the first things I realized once I started painting a large scale was that, am I contributing to gentrification? You
Right.
know, that was a question as an artist that you have to, as a muralist, you have to really ask yourself. And
Especially in the Bronx,
especially in the
especially.
Bronx,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And
so that's definitely something that I think about with the work that I'm creating, and how can I give back to the community without hurting the community.
what you've done now is add a second point to when I asked why you do it, and to have social change, why you put stuff out, because if you do it that way, maybe you can have effect not only on the people who like your work, but on the whole community. Now
Exactly.
we've done all that introduction. Let's talk about the one that you just completed.
Yeah, so Gen Equality, they started a creative initiative to create murals across the 5 boroughs. So
Now,
they
what is
had
that, John?
a Gen Equality.
Gen Equality,
So it's,
GEN Equality.
yep.
Got it.
And so they worked with 5 muralists from each borough who are residing in those boroughs, and we worked with the communities to create the mural. So I worked with the International Community High School in the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx, and we worked with the students and the staff to create a mural that they felt reflected the theme of inclusive safety, which inclusive safety is basically, you know, no matter where you're from, no matter what you look like, what your gender, what your sexuality is, what your race, ethnicity, you deserve to be treated with safety, fairness, equality, you know,
Respect.
respect
RESPECT.
above all.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that exactly. So we worked with different communities from each borough, but for me, I was in the Bronx with the
And
international
let's
community.
be specific. You said it was on Brook and 141st Street. Well, you didn't say it here. You told me it was
Oh,
on Brook.
right. So
Right.
right.
You said it was the
Earlier.
International Community High School, but it was Brook and 141st Street. And
Yes.
I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen it. I didn't see it live. I have to say, I'm going to get down there and we will
Oh,
see it.
yes.
But you know, it's what's the word? It's just you can't not be affected if you walk by. You can't walk by and say, or not even notice. You know, you're like, oh, wait a minute, right?
Yes,
That
yes, yes. It's
this
very large, it's bright, it's colorful, and that's exactly what we wanted to do when painting it.
do you know how large? Gary's going
No,
like this
because
on my Zoom box, you know.
no, they kind of were like, here's a wall we have. I didn't measure it. I just kind of created the sketch, and I knew, like, just from looking at it, how large I wanted to go in order for it to impact the
Yeah,
community.
and have the effect that you want to have. I always wondered about this with the muralists, and you're here and you're going to have to answer the question. And that is a lot of the surfaces that you work on, whether, you know, this, I think this was pure brick, you know, traditional brick, right?
Yes.
But, you know, there's a wall like by a parking lot near where I live that is kind of stone and it's a bit uneven.
Hmm.
And of course, there are cement walls, there's cement block walls. Um, does that take effect? Do you ever say, I ain't doing that wall, nobody will make something in that? Or do you use the you know, the surface of the wall as part of what you're working on?
You could totally, I think as an artist, it's important to, like, meet, problem solve, right? So, I've never looked at a wall and said I can't paint it. There's a way to paint it. You just have to have the right materials, you know? So spray paint usually is helpful when painting kind of, rugged surfaces like that, or a paint, or a brush and a
Mhm.
house paint. But
You know, I'm completely self-serving here. Because I was thinking about, you know, because you said about painting walls, making the community better. I thought of my own neighborhood, but the wall that I'm talking about is not a smooth wall. You'd have to use that in some form. So,
well,
so
send
hey,
me a photo
Lola,
and
you
I'll
want?
come by.
I was gonna say, you want to come by and take care of it? It's just right out the window.
100%. 100%.
Anyway, so do you have something planned for next, or are you pretty much, you know, like, do you wait and see what comes up? I mean,
Yeah,
it's an interesting
both.
time. Yeah.
It's an interesting time. I'm super excited to get back into painting outside. It's nice weather now. The great thing about being a muralist and the COVID, unfortunately, COVID-19 is horrible, but there's a lot. Everyone wants. We need space, right? Like, we're not really going into indoor spaces often anymore. So there's more opportunity to paint murals outside. I think the mayor just, like, commissioned is going to
I believe
commission.
that's actually true.
Yeah.
And
So
goodness, you know, we could say we're running out of time. I
sorry.
do
Yeah.
want you to talk about where people can find you in social media. I'm just curious, and you'll have to answer very quickly. Was this a particularly fertile time for you as an artist being cooped up and everything else, or was it a difficult time because you couldn't get out?
It was difficult. It was
Wow.
difficult. I think just, like, life circumstances really was hard for me to get into the groove. But this mural back here in my kitchen, this is something I painted with my partner. So we painted this mural during the COVID-19
All is not
quarantine.
lost. All is not lost. What can I
Exactly.
tell you? Listen,
So
so go through your social media real quick.
so my
The website, you got to check out the website. There's a ton of great stuff on there.
yes, my website is lovenotesnyc.com. So just Love Notes NYC. You can find me at Instagram, or you can just Google Love Notes NYC and I'll pop up. But my Instagram is at Love Notes, Lovenotes. Yeah, I have a project coming up with Party on Park in Harlem. So I'll be painting a mural with them.
Great.
Harlem, 125th and Lexington, or sorry, 125th and Park Avenue.
And then the next
Um,
time you're going to do one in the Bronx, you're going to let us know because we'll send people to it because Gary wants to go out. I'm a terrible artist, but you know, did
Come
you
help
use other
me.
people?
You can be. I used during the gender
Okay.
equality. I used the public.
We,
So many people helped us paint that.
okay, listen, Lola, thank you so much. We got to go. We'll see you soon. Good night.